You're one of the few .com survivors. Can you tell us a little bit about your time at lastminute.com?
Yeah, I mean, a real roller coaster, obviously, and we were lucky to be early in a very much a rapidly growing industry. We had a, I think, unique proposition with lastminute.com. Basically, it was very easy to explain to people why they should want it, and then we were able to go through several. We went public, interestingly, after only 18 months of going live, which is pretty quick. So, and then we raised a lot of money, 125 million pounds at a valuation when right at the height of the boom. We went public the day the market peaked. And then what happened is the market crashed, and so did our share price. The business was okay, but the share price, luckily we'd raised 125 million, so we kept going and soldiered on through and ended up selling the business to Sabre Travelocity for over $1 billion in 2005.
And then since then, you've obviously been busy with other ventures.
Yeah, so at the end of '06, started thinking about what should I do next, and then thought, well, I bought a house, and I thought, this is a strange experience of how you decorate a house, and I couldn't visualize anything, and I didn't understand what stuff should cost in terms of furniture. And then I looked on the internet and thought, well, there must be something on the internet that could help me, and there wasn't. So I thought, right, well, this looks like an idea that needs doing. So raised money for that, and then subsequently also have set up with Michael Birch, the co-founder of Bebo, and a couple of others, we set up a venture capital fund called Pro Founders Capital for entrepreneurs investing in other entrepreneurs to help with the digital ecosystem across Europe.
And would you say now, obviously in the middle of, an economic recession, are there more people investing in entrepreneurs and new startups?
No, I think people are still concerned, they're still worried, but there is that option that because of what happened to the stock markets, I think investing in something you know and understand and feel and touch, suddenly the risk profile of that becomes a little less than it was, versus compared to the stock market, which, okay, it's bounced up again now, but I think a lot of people got hurt badly last year, so they're thinking, whoa, this very distant thing is quite scary. If I can find entrepreneurs that are doing stuff I know and understand, then that's a pretty good thing to invest in.
Do you think that this is a time when the best entrepreneurs actually really do come out?
Well, I think the interesting thing is we announced our fund in July in the FT, and then we've since got 550 deals sent to us. So huge amount of interest from people, obviously, in raising money. And I think your point about great businesses starting in a recession, absolutely. There's lots of disruption. It's a great time to take risks. And it's also a great time when the big companies aren't innovating, so the young entrepreneurial companies can take risks and go for it.
Well, what about mobile? I mean, I know traditionally lastminute.com is a web service. Your company, your new venture is also a web service. Last Minute now is also investing heavily in mobile with their Last Minute Labs.
I think mobile is coming of age, and I think that's genuinely exciting. For me, it was genuinely, I was somebody who back in '99 used to preach mobile apps. And I was wrong, I was too early. So we had one in 99-2000 that was a lastminute.com deal finder. You walk out here, you see restaurants, theaters, etc. based on your location, deals near you, personalization in the end was the vision that you see. I got 50% off a drink if I go there right now. And these are things that now, finally, the mobile data is fast enough, GPS is in large amount of phones, we've got great smartphones like the one we're talking about today, and so suddenly those consumer applications become not just gimmicks, but actually genuinely useful.
And are you doing anything personally in the mobile space?
Well, I guess we're investors in TweetDeck, which is obviously a Twitter client. So I know many of you are going to come onto that, but obviously that is has a great iPhone application. I'm also an advisor on a company called MobiMate or WorldMate, which is a travel application that's got a very powerful app on Blackberries and has been invested in by BlackBerry Venture Partners.
There were a couple questions that we had from the Twitterverse. One question is, would you ever set up an online publication?
Yes, and I've actually put out on Twitter, similarly to you, I've said what I'm really interested in actually is a personalized news aggregator that would aggregate not just all the generic personal stuff, but also find out from my network what people are doing. And I think there are variations of this out there, but I don't think anybody's cracked it yet. So I think online publication, so long as it's very low cost, because that's the reality of the change. You talked about the bubble bursting. The reality is there is revenue there, but it needs to be off a much lower cost base. And I think also, I do believe that for these online publications, you want algorithms to find the best content for you, and you want to find businesses where Google isn't going to eat your lunch. So it's a complex answer to a question, but the answer is yes, if I could find the right model.
Well, I have another question here from Keith Emerson. He says, why isn't that site that competitive price-wise anymore? I think he's talking about lastminute.com.
He's talking about lastminute.com. Well, the obvious answer is because I've left, but I'm not allowed to say that.
You just did.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's right to focus on the issue is about differentiation, and price was one of lastminute.com's differentiating points. And I think it is, to be fair, harder as the internet has become more mainstream to work out how you differentiate. I think particularly because at the time the internet was seen as another channel, so you could offload unsold inventory. It's now so pervasive that you have to think more creatively. I think within that lastminute.com, top secret hotels, I imagine, are still very competitive. And let's see what the Twitterverse say about that.
Actually, I have a question about that. It says, what's going on with the top secret hotel deals? Does anyone actually use that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because actually it's one of my great moments of pride. Actually, I think the top secret hotels used to work fantastically well, and everything I've heard about what's happened since I've left, which is a few years ago, is that it still works very well. And that is just because it gives you exactly that, we've talked about, that price cannibalization shield. In other words, it doesn't cannibalize the core loyal customers who are arguably actually happy to pay more. And so I always remember back in the day, one of the hotels on Park Lane, literally 1/3 cheaper if you booked it, so 66% cheaper if you booked it on lastminute.com.
Okay, and then one last question. What do you leave to last minute?
What do I leave? I still leave everything. I mean, that's why I started the company. I always try and wing it. I think life is fresher and more exciting if you do that.
Agreed. Thank you very much.